Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square with T-Square Talks. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. It is Sunday morning, and I got an awesome video for you guys. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about gold. However, it's not just going to apply to gold. It's also going to apply to silver, because a lot of the times when gold goes up, for a lot of the reasons that I'm going to show you guys here shortly, you're going to see silver end up going up too. Usually, in fact, when gold goes up drastically, silver goes up even faster and harder. And the reason that is because more people can afford silver, and a lot of people will put gold and silver in a similar camp. Now, I know there's a lot of naysayers out there that are watching this video. They haven't even really listened to the video yet, and they're already writing a negative comment about silver. Now, some of you guys are just firm investors in gold. You like the gains that we've seen in gold, and you're happy with gold. You feel it's a safer bet. And some of y'all are just naysayers, and you're going to talk ill about gold. You're going to talk ill about silver, and all you really want is to distract essentially people away from what's right, what makes sense. And whether that's just because some people are just negative, or if that's just because some people just want to promote Bitcoin even more and keep talking about astronomical gains that we may not see anytime soon. With that being said, I'm not going to jump into that too much with Bitcoin and all that today. I want to focus a lot of attention on gold, but I may drop it a couple times, but it's not meant to be. With that being said, if you enjoyed today's video, please take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button for me, help me out. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Before we get started too much, I know it's the weekend. The price is not really moving, but we are seeing silver right now at $32.13. We're seeing gold right now at $28.82. Now, a lot of people have came out this weekend and said how silver has hit a brick wall, silver plunged in value, losing as much as 3.5% on Friday. Here's the thing. We knew that this was going to happen. Thursday night, when I filmed that video where I showed you guys how excited I was that gold had jumped 4% in one evening, you know, you had a lot of people that understood what I was saying about I wouldn't want to buy. That kind of jump only seems like a setup to me because it happened too fast. Now, not necessarily is it a setup necessarily. It could also be China was buying it up, and once the U.S. markets open, they smacked it down. They don't want to see precious metals go up. And there's a lot of different reasons, but one of the big reasons is obviously it takes attention away from the dollar and it puts it on gold and silver. And so it's in essentially the best interest of the country to make sure people don't like gold and silver. However, little by little, as other countries are moving into gold and silver, we're seeing the price climb. And essentially, we're seeing more and more people move away from the dollar. Taking a look at the DXY, which essentially is the dollar, we're seeing it down to 106 now, 106.79. Taking a look at why that is, that it's coming down, obviously the obscene amount of debt. I found this great that the Doge clock ended up hitting $100 billion now. So they are finding a bunch of fraud, waste, and abuse. So I'm pretty happy with that. But like I said before, I mean, the debt is just too big at these numbers. I won't say we're seeing this climb faster, but we're definitely seeing it still climb. If they could just slow this down for the time being or stop it for a little bit, then that would be more than the Doge clock, in my opinion. Moving on, though. Okay, so a lot of people lately have been talking about a revaluation of gold, and I even said if people wanted me to talk a little bit about it, I would. I generally don't believe that they will revalue gold here in the United States right off. Now, what does it mean, though? A revaluation. There's a lot of different ways that a revaluation could play out. Obviously, the thought of a revaluation is it means that essentially instantly they would jump the value of the gold at Fort Knox to some higher amount. We have it valued right now at roughly $35. I mean, obviously $35 is not an accurate accounting number for the price of gold. And I find it funny because a lot of YouTubers, a lot of big bullion companies, a lot of CEOs of these bullion companies are all spewing revaluation of gold coming. I mean, it's coming next week, they're saying. and think about what their incentive. I've always told you guys on this channel that everybody has an incentive to talk about stuff. You know, what would be the incentive of them saying that there's a revaluation coming, and what would be the incentive of government revaluing it? Now, right off the bat, I got to say, why would the government want to revalue it? They would want to revalue it because if they revalue it, it does make their books look like they're not as much in debt as they actually are. You know, because right now we see this number, $36.5 trillion. That's a big number. You know, what do we have for assets? Well, certainly our gold assets at a low price of $35 makes it look like we don't really have anything great on the books. And if they did revalue it, it would give them extra money to make their accounts look good, and essentially they could spend more money. However, the fact of the matter is they're not going to sell their gold. The idea that the United States is going to sell its gold and start a Bitcoin strategic fund is just insane, in my opinion. There is no way they will sell their gold. Now, will they revalue it? That's the big question, though. So a lot of these companies and CEOs and YouTube channels, people feed, and I've done videos where I've said gold to $10,000, silver to $700. People always get mad at me when I do videos like that. You know, not everybody, but a handful of people will get mad, and it has a purpose, the reason I do it. It's not just for views and clicks. It's to point out the obvious. They do these videos essentially to excite you, to get you excited. And once you're excited about a revaluation of gold, you start dreaming. It's like winning the lottery. You can't win if you don't play. Dream big. You know, these are some of the things that the lottery tells you to get you to buy lottery tickets. And this is something that some of these companies and CEOs are telling you to buy gold. Now, here's the thing. Do I think gold is a great investment? 100%. I think gold is a great investment. I think silver is a great investment. Some people will say it's not an investment. It's just a hedge against inflation, or it's a wealth preservation. It's all the above, in my opinion. It's an investment because at the end of the day, if I go to sell it, I made money. Despite the people out there that will claim, and to a certain point, it is a wealth preservation, but they'll claim that, well, if an ounce of gold buys you a suit, let's say, and you go and you sell your ounce of gold and it still buys you a suit, then you didn't profit at all. But the truth of the matter is, if you had held it in dollars, you wouldn't have enough for that suit. You'd be getting maybe a top, maybe a jacket, maybe a tie. You'd be cutting something out. And then down the road longer, you'll be lucky to get a pair of shoes or just the jacket, you know. And here's the thing. As more and more people flood into gold and silver, there's a possibility that we're going to see it go higher than the price of suit. I mean, you think about a small thing like a silver quarter would buy you a gallon of gas in the old days, and a silver quarter will still buy you a gallon of gas today. Well, technically, a silver quarter will buy you more than a gallon of gas today. And the fact that we are manipulating the prices of precious metals even lower right now, or holding them down, so the big rich elites, the companies, the banksters, so they can acquire more of it, they've got incentive to keep the price down. So you have to look at all the different scenarios that could play out. Now, what I could see happening, aside from a revaluation, I could see the United States doing something like Russia did. So when Russia had their altercation and they hit the U.S. hit them with huge amounts of sanctions and froze their assets, what did Russia end up doing right off? That worked out really well for them. Well, their ruble started crumbling. And as it crumbled and went lower, Russia launched a campaign that we're willing to buy gold for, I don't remember the exact number, we'll say $1950, back when it was only $1,900. Now, why would they do that? Why would they want to pay a higher premium? Because they recognized what was going on, and they had to prop their money pretty much against gold. It didn't mean you could trade in your rubles to get gold, but it did mean that if the country itself has a bunch of gold, well, then essentially that's a good thing. It makes their currency a little bit stronger, even in the face of weakening tensions, weakening tariffs and all these different things that the U.S. was doing to Russian businesses and the Russian government as a whole. So I could picture the U.S. coming out and saying something like, we want to buy up gold and we want to add to our gold reserves with what's going on. And essentially, we're willing to pay $3,100. Now, a lot of people might be like, why would they pay that extra money when you can, just go to a company and just buy it? They would need to acquire a lot of gold. Because the truth of the matter is, when you look at the gold numbers, let me pull up something for you guys that I was looking at earlier. And it really blew my mind when I was looking at this. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So we'll use this one and we will use this one. So this right here is current day. So this article just came out on, where is it? Where did I see it? Okay, February 12th. I mean, it's fairly current. This right here was actually posted. Hold on here. Give me a quick second. Let's back up one more. Give me a quick second to find where it went. Because what I found interesting is we're not actually seeing huge changes in these numbers. So like right here, 2024, I mean, they claim that we've got the U.S. has 3,133 tons of gold. That's a lot of gold. I'm not going to lie. But as you look through these numbers, these are the same, almost the same numbers that were reported the last couple years. And I had something, I don't know where it went though, I was looking at earlier. Everything traces back to the same numbers essentially. I mean, identical. U.S. 81.33. I'm looking for where. Boom. No, I'm not going to be able to find it. Where did I put it? Darn it. Oh, well, not important, I guess. I wanted to say, I find it interesting that they're not changing these numbers because everybody knows someone's buying the gold. But if no one's changing these numbers, I've got to wonder, who has gold? Maybe they have these numbers, but, as I was looking through the last time that the U.S. got audited for their gold, it was like forever ago. 1974. That was when we last did an inspection of the gold. A handful of people were there and they got to see the gold. I don't know if these guys are honest. I mean, I don't even know half the names on this list. They had some reporters there. Okay, who knows who the reporters were? Probably hand-chosen. They had a couple of senators there. But the truth of the matter is, that was 50 years ago. A lot of people are questioning, do we even have the gold anymore that we say we did? As I look at the price of gold, there's a lot of people out there that are naysayers on gold too. They're naysayers on anything precious metals. Gold, when we used gold as our money, it was pretty stable. Look at this. 1792. We had gold at $19. As I go through the years, 1793, 94, 1795, 1796, all the way through, you've got gold still 1950, 1950, 1822, still 1950. We'll go up a whole nother page, 1823, 24, 25, 51. You still got gold pretty well trading right around $20 an ounce. Now, we did see a little bit of a jump in 1864. As you comb through, though, back to 20s, a lot of 20s, it stayed pretty stable. The fact of the matter is, prices didn't fluctuate because they were using gold as money. There's a set amount of it out there, and in order to get it, you had to do something. You had to work. You had to, maybe you went and mined it. That's a possibility. But in general, people had to work to get gold. There was no handouts. It wasn't until we started mass spending that we seen, essentially, we had to have more money. We just kept printing. You had the wars, you had, as time went on, you had Vietnam, you had all this different stuff. And that's a big reason why they ended up eventually revaluing gold. They needed to be able to print more money, and they wanted to get all that gold back from the people. So they revalued gold from 20 to 35, and you saw it go to 35. But here's the thing. As time went on, it stayed semi-stable. It wasn't until they actually banned and said you can no longer get gold, even if you're a country. You could no longer, temporary, of course. Everything is temporary in this world, it seems like. When the government says it, it's just temporary. But you had gold continue to go up in price. And as time went on, we had a good run. I mean, we've seen gold in 67 at 35. And then, let's move up a little bit more so you can see it. 66, 35. All of a sudden, 68, we had 43. As you go on, 71, we were at 44. And then we were at 60. As the years go, now we really start climbing. 63, 106, 183. Gold is climbing, and it's still climbing to this day. This chart actually stops at 2015. And you've got gold in 2015 at $1,060. Now, I actually remember this because that's roughly when I started stacking. And I really wished I had started stacking before, because when I look at some of these numbers, I first heard about gold when it was in 2000 and I was in the Middle East, and it was only $300 roughly. I mean, I had a friend of mine tell me I wished I had got into it, but I didn't. I didn't believe in it. I was big into the dot-coms. I was investing, and I saw the gains. I saw the big profits, and I didn't know a lot about gold. And there's a lot of people out there today that still don't know a lot about gold. But they're learning. As it makes mainstream media more and more people start learning about it. More people realize there's a reason why big banks hold gold. It's not because it's a barbaric relic. It's because you recognize that gold is true wealth. And once you realize that, you understand it. Now, obviously, Russia, as the acceleration of Western sanctions against Russia happened, a lot more people wanted to purchase gold. Even their banks wanted to purchase gold. They recognized that as a safe investment. Now, you have to ask yourself, what's going on in the United States today? Look at everything going on. Here we are discussing Canada, Greenland, Panama Canal, the Gulf of America. Although they did actually change that on Google. If you go on Google now, you can actually look at it, and it says Gulf of America. But what did they really change? I mean, it's just a name. At the end of the day, it's no different than changing a street name. I find it funny because on Google it says that, but if you go look at a map in another country, it might say Gulf of Mexico. And maybe they'll eventually start changing it a little. People will just start accepting it as the answer. But that's not a big deal. But it is a big deal if we start taking over Canada, Greenland, and you have to understand too, why. Why would they want to do this? Because of the minerals, because of the money that would come in by taking that over, the assets. The truth of the matter is, as currencies start collapsing, countries are willing to do whatever it takes to survive. And I'm convinced that there is some sort of a reset coming. It's probably not going to be as simple as us saying an ounce of gold is now $10,000 and that's it. I think it's going to be something different. And I think that's why a lot of people they know what's coming. And that's why they're trying to gain land. It's no different. Russia says they're trying to get the old USSR back. But look, I mean, a lot of it could just have to do with they're running out of money. They need that income. You take a look at China. China's having a hard time too. Why do you think all these countries are buying up gold? And as this continues to happen, it only makes sense that gold and silver are going to continue to go up in price. So I would be very careful when you listen to some of these financial advisors, some of these guys that come out in a suit and tie. I had someone tell me one day, well, you don't show yourself, and when you do, you don't really look like a financial advisor. That's probably why a lot of people don't watch your channel. Here's the thing. I don't need a suit and tie. I don't feel like I need a suit and tie to be right, I guess you can say. I'm just an everyday guy that spends a lot of time reading up on this stuff. And it makes sense that gold is going to continue to go up. And as it continues to go up higher and higher, more and more, countries are going to keep trying to acquire it. You don't really think that every country out there is all of a sudden going to dump their gold holdings. You've got the United States claiming they've got 8,133 metric tons. You got Germany at 3,351 metric tons. You come down to Russia. Russia sitting at 2,334. You've got China at 2,279 metric tons. However, these two countries, Russia and China, they've been adding to their gold. They've been adding to it. We're not seeing the numbers climb quite as much, but as they're buying more of it, is it in their best interest to tell people what they have? That's kind of what drew me to what's going on. When I had seen that, a report on how much gold they had 5 years ago, I said, there's no way they've got the same amount of gold 5 years later. When you've got countries like China that doesn't even want to export their gold. They want to have first dibs to buy up the gold. They tell their people, buy gold. Why are they telling their people? And it's not just gold. As gold goes up, there's this belief that the gold-silver ratio will never come down. It's always going to be high. I seen a comment the other day that said, I'm waiting to see it go to 100 to 1. We've seen it go up, but I think it's more likely that as the price continues to climb, people are going to look for essentially a cheaper alternative that might protect their wealth the same way. I found it interesting, too, when someone left me a comment the other day saying, there was a time when gold was the price of silver. Gold was $33. I mean, think about that. And I'm talking really $33. Like, you could go and buy it off someone for $33. And now look at it. I mean, now you've got gold at essentially $3,000. I'm going to call it $3,000 because if you're going to go out and buy an ounce of gold, a cheap ounce of gold, physical, you're probably going to pay about $100 premium, which is not a huge premium in my opinion. It did take a big hit the other day. It dropped 1.5%, but I mean, it can make that up in a day. And you got to see the articles. And if anybody doubts it, look at the articles about how silver hit a brick wall on Friday, how it plunged down 3.5%, 4%. Those articles are designed to discourage you. And they said it point blank. It's not in the best interest of the United States to promote gold. Well, what else are they not promoting? Obviously silver. I don't think they're promoting silver because of that. People are moving to gold and silver. And as it continues, we're going to see these prices climb. So I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I don't give financial advice on this channel. I just share my opinions and thoughts about what I think about what's going on. And everything points to higher prices in both gold and silver. Now, could we see a temporary little pullback? A lot of people think, I'm not buying silver until it goes back under 20. I don't think you'll ever buy then. If you stick to that, you will not buy silver again because I'm not convinced you will be able to pick up silver for under 20. Do I think we could see $30 again? I mean, that's not a huge drop to see $30. I mean, we're talking $2.13. If the economy tanks, the price will probably come down, but at what cost? I mean, if the stock market just outright tanked. I mean, think about the stock market today. You've got a handful of stocks essentially running the entire market. You get 7 stocks that go up and boom, that's 90% right there. It's crazy how much money flows in with just a handful of stocks when you have all those other stocks out there that a lot of them ain't doing great. But you don't see that because it's just being disguised by the big players. Just like when people hear, the average American's net worth is this much money. Yeah, when you're adding in the 1%ers, of course that number is going to be a lot higher. I don't know people. I consider myself kind of well off. I consider myself in a good position. And when I seen what you would have to be average, I said, are you kidding me? I don't know anybody that has that number. Maybe if you're counting someone's business, but a business can tank overnight. I mean, literally, if the economy tanks, people aren't going to be going out to eat. People aren't going to be spending extra money. They're going to be tightening up their budget. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up here. I already know I went over 15 minutes. I'm at 24 minutes. So with that being said, I thank you all for watching. I hope you're one of them people that like the longer video format. I hear some people say they don't like it. Some people say they do like it. YouTube tells me I need to keep my videos at 15 minutes and I'll have the best results. But that is so hard to explain some of these topics in 15 minutes. Hopefully you're still stacking. You're not worried about short-term drops in the price of precious metals. I look at it as a gift. If you want to give me silver at $30 an ounce, I'm happy. If you want to give it to me at $25 an ounce, I'll be ecstatic. And if by some fluke you decide you want to give me silver for $20 an ounce, I'm willing to give up my house and put it on silver because I'm not convinced that it can stay at that. And I mean, realistically, a house just costs you money and taxes and everything else. But hey, you got to have one. With that being said, I thank y'all for watching and commenting. I hope you enjoyed the video and hit that comment. And thank you to all the subscribers of the channel. And thank you to all the members of the channel that help grow the channel and support the channel. With that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow on T-Square Talk. Take care, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye.